Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. My name's Chris, I'm a French teacher at We Communicate. If you've ever felt like your French learning isn't progressing as smoothly as you'd hoped, today we're going to explore a surprising culprit, Google. And to show you exactly how Google impacts your language learning, I'll take you on a journey into something I know a lot about, guitars. Now this isn't a simple rant about how the big brands dominate the searches, not at all. This goes much deeper. And if you're serious about learning French, I promise it's worth understanding. I'm going to perform 3 different Google queries, and what we discover is quite astounding. Let's start with our very first query, simply buy a guitar. As you can see, the results are instantly overwhelming. The number 1 result is Guitar Center, a massive retailer, followed by Amazon, then a discussion on Reddit, and so forth. Faced with so much choice, there isn't a compelling reason to venture onto page 2, 3 or 4. It will likely be more of the same noise. A lot of people will stop their search there. They'll go to Guitar Center for advice, or buy one off Amazon, and settle for the very first guitar recommended to them, at least for the first few years. Until perhaps they meet someone who introduces them to a different brand, perhaps even a better brand. You might agree that this overwhelming choice also applies to language learning. However, my demonstration isn't over yet. The next 2 searches reveal something even more surprising. Stay with me. Now what happens when we try to refine our search? For our second query, I typed buy good guitar. And notice the results. There's a blog post from School of Rock, there's more Reddit debates, and a flood of pictures showing guitars priced between $150 and $400, and these are typically entry-level instruments despite my explicit use of the word good. Based on these results, we can already conclude a few things. First, Google doesn't interpret a subjective term like good in the human sense. So instead it seems to assume a general user intent, often that of a beginner, and directs you towards popular, entry-level or frequently discussed results. It might even suggest, well, check out this debate on Reddit, because its algorithms don't have a definitive answer in their vast data. For our third step in this experiment, I typed buy incredible super good quality expensive guitar. And the initial results are for rare collector's items priced between $4,000 up to $12,000. There are pictures, then the first official result is Guitar World, another large music retailer, followed by another Reddit debate, and the 4th result is an article from Guitarhead called The 8 Most Expensive Guitars in the World, then another similar article, more stats and trivia. Interestingly, for this exact same search query on page 2, there's a Facebook page called Awesome Cheap Guitars. I thought we were looking for something expensive. On page 3 you find YouTube videos about $20,000 guitars and an article called A Poor Person's Guide to Buying a Guitar. I looked all the way to page 12 and still didn't find any direct links to buy incredible super good quality expensive guitars from the truly top tier manufacturers. Now I happen to know the names of some incredible super good quality expensive guitars, and perhaps you've heard of Stanley Clarke, one of the best bass players ever, or John Entwistle from The Who. Both played a brand called Alembic. These are some of the best guitars ever made. And other top brands include Sadowski, G&L, Tobias. Let's take a second to consider what we've just seen here, and then we'll bring the debate back to language learning. You might say, alright Chris, I understand your point, but not everyone needs to play a top-of-the-range guitar. You can write some very good tunes on mediocre guitars, which is true. But the issue isn't there. The issue is that you could go your whole life as a guitar player and never hear about Alembic, not once. But perhaps you would have preferred one if you had known they existed. But a choice was made for you implicitly by Google by assuming that you didn't want to play a good instrument. Google assumed that you didn't want a good guitar, or that you didn't want a good car, or that you didn't want good language lessons. Google assumed that you wanted something mediocre because it doesn't understand human terms such as quality or good in a nuanced way. So instead it suggests what all the other Reddit users are using or what the biggest brands happen to be promoting. Language learners too, French learners like yourself, will go their whole lives under the influence of Google's assumptions. But perhaps you did want lessons that were above the usual mass market offerings or the biggest learning platforms. but Google didn't tell you that something else existed, and you might never hear that someone like me exists. Because the fact is that Alembic is never going to put the search term super incredible quality expensive guitars on their website because it would make their brand look silly. And I'm not going to set up a page on my website that says super incredible affordable French classes that actually work. But perhaps I should. So carry this thought with you. What else has Google assumed that you truly want?